Everyone, namaste. Welcome to Light, Laughter, and Lattes. My name is Jerry Hapstreet. I'm an evasive quantum healer, medical intuitive, self-ascension intuitive counselor, and your host today for Light, Laughter, and Lattes. And so I want to welcome everyone. And there's Bhatia. Hi, Bhatia. Welcome here. And so we are live right now on Oneness Talk Radio Facebook and Oneness Talk Radio YouTube. And you can also hear us on many of the podcasts. And so if you're listening to this via podcast at some time later, come on over to Oneness Talk Radio Facebook and YouTube at, let me see, it would be 6 o'clock Eastern Standard Time or 3 o'clock Pacific Time. Hi, Pauline. Glad you're here as well. So, well, lovely to have a greeting party here as we're starting this show. And so today is a fabulous day. I'm in a group. It's called the Circle of 12. And this group is kind of came together to hold open what we're calling the Sea of Neutrality, as the planet has now made this convergence, which happened on March 13th, so just a couple of days ago. You know, the 13th is always this auspicious day, the 13th floor, but it's actually a day of perfect balance. And so what do you know, a convergence happens, and that's like a balance, right? When there's a convergence going this way and this way. So that's kind of what happened with consciousness. And because of it, there's these polarities are really playing out strong. And so we have this circle of 12 that are kind of here to hold hands together and hold a neutral zone or a sea of neutrality to allow the expression of all of those on the planet to have their experience without harshly affecting the planet or the outcome. So I want to welcome in two of my fabulous soul sisters. They are both holistic healers, and they are both self-ascension and masters and part of the Circle of 12 as well. And let me see, I'm going to bring in Jennifer Smith. Jennifer is coming to us from where again, Jennifer?
My family and I are in the Dominican Republic this week. But my hometown is in the Midwest in Illinois.
In the Midwest. Okay, so awesome. So she's taking her vacation time and a little time out to be with us all here today. And then I'm going to invite Carol Reed in from all the way from Australia. Welcome, Carol.
Hi. Thank you, Jerry.
You know,
I'm here. Sorry, I'm just saying I'm here in the Byron hinterland, so Byron Bay hinterland in the mountains of Australia. So.
Oh, lovely. Lovely. So we're kind of we're Mexico, United States, and Australia right now, like a trinity, right? Wish I had a map. I'm terrible at location, but I would like to see how that trinity is being formed. So the topic, you know, living within the polarities. What are you guys noticing? Are you noticing anything different following this convergence? Anything different within you or anything different within the world outside of you?
Well, I'll go first. So I know that whenever we were first talking about this 13th and understanding that the energies we're weaving, to just pay attention and to stay in our divine mastery presence and let the energies unfold as they should. There was something happening at one of the workplaces I was at, and it seems like on the 13th, everything just kind of converged together, and we got our answer of how it's going to move forward. So that was one of the big things that happened on the 13th for me.
Nice. Carol?
Yes, I've noticed a big shift in those people that were, shall we say, fighting for freedom. And instead of fighting for freedom, there is a huge amount of groups of circles that I've been around that are no longer looking for freedom, but looking to blame, looking to be in an angry, look what they're doing now, showing all scare media and creating a vibration of hate. So it feels like it's uncomfortable. And I often find when I'm around those circles that my energy gets drained and I have to come back and do my self healing to come back into a balance again. Yeah, I'm noticing a big shift in that.
Right, right. And that is going to be the challenge, right? And that's going to be the mastery, right? Because this is the year of the storm. See the oneness and reclaim mastery. So that is going to be all of our challenges to be able to stay above what's happening and hold a presence, right? As I was reflecting on that sea of neutrality, what is that? And for me, it's like observation without expectation. you know, or first it was observation without judgment, but where does judgment come in? It comes in when there's an expectation of how it should be, or how it could be, and it's not going that way, so you're judging it as being wrong. So to be able to hold that space is probably going to be a little bit more challenging, right? Is there's more that's going to be clearly, if we're in the polarities, which we are in what's called the 7 polarities of free will that's been happening from 2015 to 2021. And now it's morphed so that we're experiencing all of them. And this year, can you read this year's the 2 polarities, Carol?
For 2021,
23.
oh, 23 would be the polarity is hate versus peace. So we're
Hate.
coming into it's a polarity between fear and trust ultimately.
Right. So we're going to see um, peace in the world, and we're going to see hate in the world. And I keep thinking of the yin yang sign, right, with the symbol, the black and the white. So we know we live in a world of polarity, but is there a way that we can, coexist all of us together and create a world of harmony within that? Jennifer, do you have, an idea of what that might look like?
Yeah, I think in my experiences, I just make sure that I have hold intentions. What am I paying attention to? What am I giving my intentions to? And that keeps me on the peace side of things. And it also keeps me on the side of trust, right? And we have all, us three, and many others have worked together um, being in this trust state. So even though we see a lot of things that are floating around now, I think because of how we've been living our life the last many years, that it's much easier to stay in that trust state because it's a habit now. We just trust. And I love what you said about the expectation, right? To really hold that, to just become aware of what's happening without the expected outcome, and to just understand that everything's unfolding exactly as it should be.
Right.
Mm.
Carol?
Yeah, I'd echo that with what Jennifer's saying. It's really about coming into a self self trust. What am I judging? If I'm seeing judgment out there or I'm seeing someone else judge, then what am I judging? How can I come back? Where are my expectations? And so coming into a sort of finding the forgiveness, they know not what they do. Love them, they know not what they do. For me, completely nullifies the judgments because I see everybody trying to do their best.
Right, right. And I'm seeing what Batya wrote in the chat. I noticed on the 13th a lot of anger and frustration within myself. And
Mm.
so this is interesting because the day before the 13th, I went out to a dance event and sat next to someone I hadn't talked to for a very long time. And he started kind of going on, something in my passion, and all holistic healers, probably their passion, is about the purity of our food, the purity of our air, the purity of our water, the purity of energy, right? We're energy healers. Of course, we're dealing with pure light and crystalline energy, right? And um, he was talking a lot about being angry that he couldn't trust places that he could normally trust to offer the purity, and so on. It's the spiritual activism side of things. And I just noticed and thought, wow, am I going to have to start setting boundaries around, conversations and people that I'm around now? Because can I still be in that space like I used to be when there wasn't such a polarity? And then the following day, I went through a healing on that 13th, like Batya said, anger and frustration within herself. Um, I went into this really tender state of remembering the purity of 50,000 years ago when the planet was so, so pure. And it took me to this lake cabin that I lived on for several years and raised our family. And it was green everywhere, lots of trees, beautiful small lake, not many people or activity. It was kind of in the country and on the lake. And going outside right after a fresh rain and putting my feet in the grass and feeling the electricity and that newness, freshness, like, what can I go create now? I've got the world is my oyster. And so I had that feeling, in this place in Minnesota years ago, and I got this deep saddening, like, can I still find these places? Will I still have this again? And kind of let it go. And I thought, I'm going to go watch something on TV, Netflix, or whatever. And so I do some substitute teaching, and some of the students were telling me that the Lorax was a great spiritual show. So I'm like, okay, I'll watch the Lorax. So have you guys seen the Lorax?
I have not, no.
Okay, so basically the Lorax is about, we're all living in a plastic world. The trees are pop-up balloons, plastic. Uh, they have a millionaire man and they're making a ton of money, and he's selling fresh air in a bottle. And it's basically everything that I was talking about, right? And watching this Lorax thing, they basically destroyed the planet. There wasn't one tree left. And the Lorax was maybe like the god of the trees, protecting the trees, trying to protect them. So, and when I finished that show, then the next show that came on was Angry Birds. And I'm like, am I being shown something? Do I have a deep anger inside of me? No. Well, sure enough, the next day, all day long, I went between anger and tears. What's going on, all the electromagnetics, what it's doing to our kids, to our brains, to the planet, to the trees, to the plastic, to the oceans. And then I would cry because I'm sad. I love and so that's kind of what I noticed within me. But that energy that was coming up, attracted that conversation the night before. I could
Yeah.
probably go sit next to this person tomorrow and it wouldn't be that conversation because I'm not going through that. So it's interesting how it all works. how our triggers get triggered to give us the opportunity to heal.
Yeah.
And so I hope,
Yeah. On the
go ahead, Kara.
Sorry. I was just going to say, I just reflecting as you're talking about the 13th. And on the 13th, I remember I had a lot of self-anger, a lot of self-destructive thoughts. And I had a lot of crying, a lot of sobbing. I felt like I was, everything that I'd learned was all gone. And I actually found myself into a big crumbling. So I noticed what you're saying. It was coming from an internal aspect. So yeah, I'm just noticing the interference.
I
Yeah.
know, I'm just too. So don't know if everyone is hearing this, but there's a lot of interference sound coming from somewhere. And so, ladies, maybe if we turn off our cell phones, I don't know if our cell phones are interfering.
I think I've turned mine off.
Okay, I'm going to turn mine off completely too.
And this is a prime example of how there's distractions, there is there are outer forces that are coming in to try and knock us off balance, and it's just really, it is what it is.
Yeah, right. And occasionally,
Still
oftentimes,
not going. I'll
our
try if I go
energy
on stop.
will cause that. I notice that my energy will do that often. It'll create things. And so sometimes I have to step away or clear my energy or shift my energy to fix things as well. So it's hard to know. It's this divine dance we're in. Um, um,
Yeah, Jerry, you had mentioned something earlier that I think is important to talk about, and that was you were talking about, do we need to set more boundaries, you know, with things, with our life. And I think that is super important for us and everyone else, that we do have to set those boundaries around our lives. And, because really how we're living our life is going to help other people as well, just through our increased consciousness, right? Our conscious awareness. So I think those boundaries of how healthy we keep ourselves, because only we can think and feel and act. We're the only ones that are capable of, controlling our life that way. That the boundaries are super important, to make sure that we're healthy, so we can be healthy for everyone else too.
right. Carol, do you have anything you want to add around that?
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I've in fact yesterday I was working in a clinic space, and I noticed that people were coming in not to heal, but they were coming in to they just wanted to download all the things that are heavy and wrong. And so I created a boundary in that myself yesterday, and stopped working in that place. So I hear you, Jennifer, and I think you're right. It's important for us to hold boundaries, and it's not about being flighty or ignore. It's I often get told you got your head in the sand, and I don't have my head in the sand. I just choose to be around people that are uplifting. I choose to do things that are uplifting. If I'm feeling down, I'll go and take myself for a walk to the water, and I'll watch the water, and put my feet in the water, or get my feet on nature. And the boundary for me is to say it's okay. It's okay for me to self-care. It's okay for me to look after self. And by me looking after myself, like you were saying, Jennifer, it makes me available to support others.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Right, right. And I know as people are, and I'm watching it even in the dancing groups that I'm in, there's more drama. And so one thing that I really appreciated is the dance instructor put a boundary. He said, no drama. This dance class is to be fun. If there's any drama in here at all, I'm going to ask you to leave. And he has done that. And so I loved, and I'm seeing that as a reflection of me too, that I would draw someone to me like that, because that's my personal boundary as well. I won't have a conversation with anyone that goes into any kind of drama at all. I might listen to a certain point, and then I'll walk away, or I'm done. And it's great self-care to have to stand up and say, I'm sorry, but I don't do drama. I'm going to have to check out of this conversation for now. So it might be that you have to come up with some words and stand up and speak your voice, or you're going to be swallowing other people's anger, other people's opinions, other people's unsettled issues. And it's empowering to be able to do that, and it's also self-care as well.
Yeah,
Mm.
I agree.
Yeah.
And Carol, you had mentioned something about the workplace that you were at, and I think as healers, we all do healing for people. We have to be part of that leadership. Jerry, you mentioned the leader of the dancing group that you're in, to make sure that any sort of healing events, or when people come in, that we make sure that we keep those conversations geared in the right direction, right? Instead of talking about everything that's wrong, we can flip those and talk about the things that are right, and how we can help people.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. And I see it as it's the loop that we can get into, the self-sabotaging loop, that victim, abuser, and rescuer dynamic, where we drop into fear and we drop into doubt and we drop into that fear of moving forward. And I see that as something that we can support, but it's about supporting someone through that love and trust, because they're going through the washing machine as well, and it's like just coming from a space of compassion. And it is the choice for me to move has got nothing really to do with the people on the outside. It's got everything to do with how can I be best of service, and to be in that space wasn't best of service for me at this point in time. And so there is no sense of blame, or there is no sense of they're wrong and I'm right. Everybody's just doing their best at trying to survive this moment that we're in right now.
Right.
Mm.
I just saw a study this morning. I get something called the nice news. It's the only news I get, and it comes in my email. And it's just all good things that are happening in the world. That's all it is. And they did a study, and what I don't remember the percentage, but it was a crazy percentage, like 75% of was it Americans that they studied are really happy with their lives. And they're really satisfied with their personal life. And I thought, wow. I mean, that's really, I was surprised based on where we're at with the polarities, right?
Mm.
So I don't know, is that
Yeah.
surprising to you?
For me,
So
I'm what's coming up for me as you say that is the gift of COVID. What I noticed was the gift of COVID was that families that were so separate, because people that were working long hours, they weren't able to see their children, the children were doing their thing, that they came back as a family unit. And what I've noticed since then is that there has been a change of perception around what is important in life now. What is important in life, spending time with your children. And you're saying you're on a break right now, Jennifer. You're spending time with your children, and you're spending time with your family. And it's the simple things that we're coming back to that don't necessarily cost a lot of money, but they mean us so much more. So yeah, I see that in relation to that happiness, I feel that the happiness is coming from a real core sense of being. Yeah.
Yeah, I noticed that here as well. So many people really they got their time out to think. I think everyone was on a treadmill and didn't even know they were on the treadmill because they were so busy staying on it. And then once they got chucked off, they're like, well, wait a minute, what have I been doing for the last whatever years? This is not what I want to be doing. And I saw a lot of that as well. There was a huge shift in people, picking up new jobs, quitting jobs. um, Really, it brought people to their core for sure.
yeah, and I can say just from my personal experience, that's what's happened with me too. Is just the gift of COVID, right? Was for me to just going home, working from home, and really taking the time to think about, what am I doing? Running, getting up at 5, running all day, getting home at 10. What do I want for my life? And that's where the major shift started for me. And that's why I'm doing what I'm doing today. Um, and it is a much happier and better life, for sure.
More balanced. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. One thing I want to bring forward about the polarities, so for people who don't really understand, and I don't understand everything either. I'm still in the process of learning how everything works by watching the reflections and watching me heal and what it does in the outer world as I heal internally. But as there's a number of people that are claiming their masculine and feminine balance, right?
Mm.
That's one end of the scale. There's going to be people that are claiming that balance. On the other end of the scale, the opposite's going to be playing out. So when we see things, because I noticed there was a lot of posts about the drag queens, and a lot of that after the 13th showed up for me, and I don't know what's happening because I don't watch the news, but from the few posts that I saw, um, that community is taking a big hit in some way. I know that for sure. And there was a few posts back and forth about, people against them, people for them, whatever. But that's because on the other side, the flip side, there's people claiming balance with their masculine and feminine energy. And so that's why in the opposite side of things, you're going to see a display of the opposite of that. And
Mm.
that's how it's going to work everywhere. So it's easy to look at the negative portion that's getting probably the feedback. I mean, you don't see people on Facebook going, yay, yay, she's claiming her feminine masculine balance. You don't see that. But to remember the opposite is happening, and that's why there's such a polarity. There more people are moving into oneness, which is creating a polarity of more people moving away from oneness.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it really, whenever we talk about the balances, right? The feminine and masculine balance. I think people have different perceptions of what that is.
Sure.
I know from my perception and what I believe is that it's really talking about, is our mind, body, and spirit all in alignment, and if that's true, if we are in alignment, or we can think of it as, our thoughts, feelings, and actions in alignment, then that's where we get to the point of creation. That's whenever we can start manifesting and creating things. So when we talk about energies in that way, that's really, what I think it means is becoming one within yourself.
Right. You're describing unification.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's like the cards of clarity definition of unification. Yeah, and we are moving that way as well. Yeah,
Yes,
definitely.
agree. Hmm.
M-
And
matter-
I see the divine masculine and the divine feminine balance. How I'm noticing it is those that have been strongly in their divine masculine, which I see as the get up and the doing and the taking action and the standing at the forefront, the lion coming out of the woods and saying, I am here, and I'm ready to step forward. Those that are always been strong in that are actually starting to really move more into their divine feminine, which I see as the gentle, the softness, the nurturer, the creator, the one that sits and is there for others in a much more gentle way. And together they are weaving as the divine feminines, who have always been strong in their divine feminine power, are starting to move more into that industrial kind of stronger stand up kind of divine masculine. So in that in that beautiful balance, in that unification, I'm seeing that the spirit, the body, mind, and spirit is coming into a point of 0 point activation, I suppose the word.
Mhm.
Mm.
Right. So,
Yeah.
so thinking of this planet, and we all know too. Well, we don't all know. I shouldn't say that. But this year is a 7 year, which is all about vision. What we see is based on what we can create. We can create through our vision. So it's a great year to be using our vision to visualize this world of harmony, to visualize a world of peace, to visualize a the planet the way we would like to see it. And so is there a way that either of you can see, maybe 3 or 4 things that we can do, um, that each person can do to help create a greater harmony within the polarity?
Well, that's a good question. For me, I've been holding a vision for a long time about the peace in the world and what I can do to help with that. And that's one of the reasons why I've stepped up to try to be a healer, to try to help people with their emotions and start healing emotionally, physically, mentally. Um, so that's part of what I'm doing. I also see larger visions, worldly visions, on how that can come together as well. But I think just supporting people, uh, through their health, uh, whether it be emotional, physical, or mental and spiritual health, is how everyone can help support the peace in the world.
Yeah, Carol,
Yeah.
do you have?
Yeah, I feel that coming back to the polarities of coming back to no sense of judgment. The more we can be in a space of allowing others to have an experience and not making it about ourselves. Even if someone is directing something to you, giving them a sense of love and seeing them in so much pain, that or whatever's going on for them, and just having compassion around that. So
Mhm.
forgiveness, I feel like forgiveness is a huge part. If each one of us gave forgiveness to everything, everyone, every situation that's happening, then that feeds into that beautiful vision of, like you, Jennifer, I've got a huge vision that there is peace on earth is possible. And by us all coming together as this community and meeting other communities, and like your dance teacher saying no drama, coming back to what is it that brings us joy and being that. And I've always loved the saying, would I rather be happy or right? So what am I going to engage in? Am I going to dance in if someone is coming to me with some level of vibration that doesn't feel nice? Am I going to respond in the same vibration, or am I going to hold a sense of peace in myself to create that peace vibration? So for me, and doing a vision board, sitting down, what is my dream? What is my dream? And what is it that makes my heart sing? And just putting it all up there and seeing it and feeling the vibration. Because I feel that, like you're saying, Jennifer, we live in an energetic world. So if we're feeding, I see it as like we're feeding a big pool. If we're feeding it with loving energy, then that pool gets bigger. Or are we feeding the other pool, which is not so loving energy? Because that pool will get bigger. So making a choice in every moment about what to say and how to act and how to be, and being there for others when they are calling out for help, if we are in a space to hold that.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
love what you said about forgiveness, because that's really huge. Huge for us, and when we're helping other people, that's one of the first things I go to is, you know, I call it the law of forgiveness. Forgive others, forgive yourself, to kind of move forward through that and to start the healing process.
Right, right. And compassion is so I have compassion for all the people in what they were going through, because I can remember that the state being in a place of being so angry about, whatever, 5G, back then a few years ago. And it's hard when you look out into the world and you see things that are blatantly not um, health affirming, life sustaining, whatever you want to call it. And that that's happening, to hold a place of neutrality and not get upset, right? We've all gotten good at going, well, okay. I mean, I like to look at it as a game that we're playing, and we're looking at this game. Okay, good move. You did this. Well, now I guess I'm going to have to do this. Okay, nice move. You did that. Well, I guess I'm going to be making my own food now. I'm just going to grow it over here, And so it's a matter of you know, trying to hold that 10,000 feet perspective and look down on things, and, try see it as something a little lighter than it is, and laugh as much as you can, especially at
Yeah.
yourself, right? When the old patterns and judgments come up, to try laugh at yourself, because that laughter will help erase it, clear it, right? So, you I so get the space that so many people are in that are being triggered. And and I guess that's why, we can have compassion for them, is because we've been there. And that's really what offers the compassion to the world, right? All of us have been through these things. We know what it's like to be um, hurt or upset, or to feel like your freedoms are being taken away, or to, not be heard, or not to be respected for who you are.
Absolutely. And as much as I practice it as much as I can, I still fall into the heap and I still react, and it's about coming back to that forgiveness for self. If I've danced with an anger energy and I've gone back at it, it's like, oh, okay, so what do I need to do now? Forgive myself, go and make an amends if I need to, or as you say, take myself away, calm myself down, do the tools that you have. And we've all learned tools of some sort to find peace, even petting an animal, giving your cat a cuddle, giving your dog a pet, taking your dog, throw a ball with the dog, whatever brings back into the moment, because we're all human trying to live this existence on this amazing planet.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's easy to get pulled into other people's energy if you have even the tiniest little bit left in you, the tiniest little bit left. It's like a Velcro that goes out. Even some of the Facebook feeds that come by, it might be just the slightest little thing. You could feel the energy of it. And it's best to not even give it a notice or a look, because you can get pulled into that energy, fairly easily. So I've had to do a lot of, unfriending, not unfriending, but I don't want to see any of these posts, so I'm very selective. Any posts that come by that are negative or drama or any of that, they're all gone. So, but those are some things that, if you're trying to hold, if you're trying, like we are trying to hold the space of neutrality, um, that's like a responsibility. So we have to, our energy is everything to be able to do that. And so those are just, I don't know, they're just things to make sure that I'm enjoy every day.
Yeah. Would say that what you had mentioned there, I mean, that's part of the boundaries we were talking about at
Right.
the beginning, right? To pay attention to the things that you want to, and those boundaries of not paying attention to some of the Facebook posts or some of the things like that. Those are healthy things to do, um, and that's really what I've been focusing on too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So do
And
either of you go ahead? Did
I was
someone say?
just saying, and coming back into our own self healing of our beliefs. And then when we get into the core of why we're actually being triggered, then it's awareness is like 80% of the healing. If we know that we're being triggered because there is a reason why, then we can work on that ourselves so we're not triggered anymore.
Right. Right, exactly. Yeah. And then to get to the core, and that's what these the green comet, and now the Jupiter, those two opportunities were core healings that brought us to the very core. Like I was brought to the core of creation. My anger and sadness was around the purity of creation. And I had similar healings during the green comet. I mean, those things were like, let's get right to the core of some of the frustrations that are happening and heal these things, right? And, right at the root. Oh, we got some love from the galaxy. Love having love from the galaxy. So
Absolutely.
do either of you have anything else that you would like to share around living within the polarities or creating a coexistent world with the way the way things are playing out with this peace hate year or fear trust year?
Yeah, I'm just
I'll go.
holding, staying in the peace, because really peace begins with you, with yourself, and staying in that peace state. And then trust. You just have to have complete trust. And that's a constant reminder, to myself. So really just focusing on those two things, and not focusing on any of the other things.
Great. Carol?
Um, and I would say just bring it back to something simple, because in this very moment, we have a choice. When we go too far in the future of what can be, what should be, or I'm not there yet, then we put ourselves into anxiety. When we go back into like, I should have done, I would have done, then that's already done. So doing whatever we can to come back into this present moment of right, then choose, what do I want to choose for myself right now, and simplify. That's what I have to share.
Yeah, that's good. That that's good. I'm going to pick a cards of clarity for all of us. And let me see. I hope I have we've got new cards of clarity. It's exciting. The energy is moving so quickly these days that it seems as though we're being constantly up leveled, and what was is no longer anymore. Like the creation is happening so fast that you know constantly in the news. So let's see what we have. Hey, we got the golden ray card for today. Let me see if I can get it. There we go. Golden ray. Awesome. So let me read the golden ray. Hope I didn't have this up the way I should have. Nope, there's no should have, right?
Stop shooting on yourself.
No shoulding.
We're not supposed to say that anymore, right?
Right. Probably. I just didn't have it up. Darn. Okay, it's up now. So here's the ascended master for golden ray. You are entering the portal of divine light, and it is manifesting as enlightenment. The gift you have been asking for is here. Fully claim it by releasing all preconceived notions of what it means to be enlightened. You have chosen the path. You are in the light of all that is. The golden ray reaches around you as a protective cocoon. Within its divine embrace, you are in the safety of unconditional love. Pay attention to everything. Begin fine-tuning your spiritual discernment. Accept yourself as enlightened, and your actions will shift accordingly, as will the actions of those around you. So that's another, actually, that was just another little really good lesson about living in the polarity, right? As you shift your actions, you will shift everything around you. So it's a little bit about remembering that you can, if you are presented or you're in a space that is less than joyful, you can shift the energy of that space through intention, through right commanding the light that all here is in the state of peace, right? So there are things we can do to to help shift situations when you remember your power and you can bring yourself into an energy that allows for that and is aware of it and commands that. Did either of you, Jennifer, did you have something to add?
I have no. I love the card that you pulled, and I absolutely agree with what you've said there with the energy. That whenever we can command the energy, that we can bring that in and shift things to the more light and love focus.
Yeah, Carol?
Yeah. And yeah, what he said was beautiful. And taking an action, taking an action that changes the energy that you're at, that brings in the golden light. Beautiful.
Right. Good reminder from us. I guess the Ascended Masters had something to add to the conversation as well, huh?
They certainly do.
Okay, well, everyone, Pauline and Love from the Galaxy and Batio, thank you all for joining in the chat. We are glad you're here. And Jennifer and Carol, it was fun. Thank you for joining me today. And we'll have to do this again at another time. So,
Absolutely. Thank you, Jerry, for having me on. I really appreciate it. And it's always lovely to connect with you, beautiful ladies. Thank you.
oh, you're welcome.
Thank you, Jerry. Thank you, Carol. Very nice chatting today.
Okay, everyone, have a fabulous week. And so until next Wednesday, namaste.
All right.
Namaste.